Have you ever felt that just one comment, one action, or even a single cold look was enough to throw you off balance? You know you shouldn't react, but your heart tightens anyway. A part of you wants to stay calm, yet another part wants to scream, "Why would they treat me like that?" If you've ever felt that way, I want you to know this. You're not weak. You're simply living in a world where everyone is easily hurt, because everyone carries too many emotions they don't know how to control. For more than 10 years, I've worked with all kinds of people, from successful entrepreneurs and public figures to those healing from heartbreak and divorce. And I've realized something powerful. Happiness doesn't belong to the smartest person in the room. It belongs to the one who knows how to manage their emotions, because the one who controls their reactions is the one who truly lives in peace. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That one sentence, though simple, holds the foundation of true inner freedom, the kind of peace every one of us is searching for. You can't control what others say, what they do, or what they think about you, but you can always choose how you respond, and in that moment, you take back all your power. I still remember one of my patients, a woman in her 30s, who'd been betrayed in love. She told me, "I want him to regret it. I want him to realize what he lost." I looked at her and gently asked, "If you spend all your energy thinking about him, how much will you have left to live for yourself?" She stayed quiet for a long time, then smiled through her tears. In that silence, I knew she had just learned her first lesson in Stoicism. The real issue isn't who hurt you, it's how long you let them have power over you. I want you to imagine this. You're walking down your usual morning path and someone throws an insult at you. You could stop, argue, get angry, or you could keep walking, smile to yourself, and think, "That person doesn't control my mind." That is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about being cold or emotionless. It's about knowing where to invest your energy. And sometimes, the strongest choice you can make is not to react at all. It took me years to truly understand this. When I was younger, I thought I had to respond to everything, to defend myself, to explain, to prove I was right. But over time, I realized something. The more I reacted, the more I got pulled into someone else's emotional storm. And in that storm, I lost the most important thing I had, my inner peace. Have you ever felt that? That moment when you realize you're no longer yourself, just a reflection of someone else's anger or pain. When that happens, the only thing that can save you isn't revenge, it's stillness. The stillness that comes from knowing, I can't control others, but I can always control myself. And that's what Stoic philosophy teaches us, how to stay calm in the storm, how to stop letting others dictate your emotions, how to walk forward with strength and dignity. No matter what life throws your way, you don't need to be a philosopher to understand Stoicism, you just need to be human. This is someone who's been hurt, who stumbled, and who still wants to learn how to live in peace again. In this video, I want to share with you 10 Stoic principles, timeless lessons that have survived more than 2,000 years, yet feel just as true today as they did in ancient Rome. Principles that can help you control your emotions, face your pain, and live peacefully in a noisy, competitive world. And when you truly understand them, you'll stop fearing pain, rejection, or betrayal, because no one will be able to touch the peace you've built inside yourself. So I invite you to walk with me, not as a student listening to a lecture, but as two people learning together how to live calmer, deeper, and freer lives. Let me tell you, the 10 Stoic principles that can make you untouchable, not through brute strength or power, but through calmness, clarity, and self-mastery. The true marks of a free soul. It's the shield that protects you from the chaos of the world. 1. Self-control is the ultimate strength. Have you ever reacted too quickly and then instantly regretted it? A text, a comment, an insult, and just like that, you lost control. I once had a client, a highly successful entrepreneur, who told me, "I fear my own anger more than I fear any competitor." He could manage a company with hundreds of employees, but he couldn't manage his own emotions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you truly understand this, life starts to feel lighter. People can offend you, criticize you, even betray you, but they can only make you angry if you give them permission to. Self-control is the foundation of peace. It's the shield that protects you from the chaos of the world. 2. Learn to separate yourself from your emotions. Emotions aren't the enemy, but if you let them drive your life, they'll drag you wherever they want. The Stoics taught that you are not your anger, your sadness, or your anxiety. You are the one observing them. I often teach my clients a simple exercise. When emotions start to rise, take a deep breath and say to yourself, "I feel anger, but I am not that anger." The moment you step back, the emotion loses control. It's like stepping out of the water. Instead of drowning in the wave, you're standing on the shore, watching it pass by. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you perceive it that matters. That's true freedom, so freedom from your own mind. 3. Success is the subtlest form of revenge. The people who hurt you often want to see you broken. They want you to be angry, weak, or stuck in the past. But what could be stronger than smiling, living well, and moving forward without saying a single word? I remember one student of mine who was unfairly fired from his job. Instead of drowning in bitterness, he spent a year learning new skills. 2 years later, he became a manager at a rival company. He told me, smiling, "I didn't need to get back at anyone. I just needed to become a better version of myself." Success is not a loud revenge. It's the quiet smile of someone who's already moved on. 4th, contempt is an invisible weapon. Anger is still a connection. Hatred is still a bond that ties you to the other person. But contempt is freedom. Manipulative people aren't afraid of being hated. They're afraid of being forgotten. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop giving them mental space, they lose all their power. I once told a patient who was stuck in a toxic relationship, "Don't argue to win. Stay silent to be free." She didn't believe me, not until one day she simply stopped. No more messages, no more explanations, no more trying to fix him. A few weeks later, she said to me, "It's strange. He lost all his control over me the moment I stopped reacting." That's when she finally understood. Contempt isn't hatred, it's liberation. 5. Turn suffering into a lesson. Seneca once wrote, "No man becomes great without suffering." Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to shape you. Anyone who's ever failed in love, in business, or in life, if they look closely, will realize that pain is the strictest yet most honest teacher they'll ever have. I once asked a student who lost everything in a bad investment, "If you could go back, would you still take the same path?" He smiled and said, "Yes. Because without that fall, I'd still be the arrogant man I used to be." The Stoics never ran away from pain, they learned from it. So when life knocks you down, don't ask out, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What is this pain trying to teach me?" 6. Absence is the loudest form of resistance. Sometimes you don't need to say anything at all. Just walk away. Marcus Aurelius called it revenge through dignity. When you choose silence, when you step back from meaningless arguments, you force others to face the emptiness of their own actions. I once counseled a woman who went through a painful divorce after years of endurance. She didn't shout. She didn't post bitter messages online. She simply walked away quietly, raised her child, and began a new life. A year later, her ex-husband came back and told her, "I've never felt smaller in my life." Sometimes silence is the loudest roar. 7. Calm in the middle of the storm. The modern world is a storm of emotion. Negative news, social media, the constant pressure to prove yourself. But a Stoic doesn't let the world dictate their mood. They know they can't control the wind, but they can always adjust their sails. I once met a soldier who had returned from war. He had lost one leg, yet he looked at me with calm eyes and said, "I didn't lose anything. I just learned to live differently." That's the spirit of Stoicism. Peace is not the absence of the storm, it's learning to stand firm within it. 8. Silence is the strength of the wise. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly explaining, defending, or trying to prove yourself? The Stoics understood something simple. Truth doesn't need to shout. When someone attacks you, remember, you owe them no reaction. Silence is not weakness, it's the deepest form of confidence. In one of my lectures, I said, silence is not losing. Silence is declaring, I don't fight battles unworthy of me. A peaceful mind knows when to speak and when to stay silent. 9. Time will be the judge. At first, people might think you've lost. They might mock your silence, but with time, they'll see you never needed to prove anything. I've seen many people betrayed, slandered, misunderstood. But instead of reacting, they stayed silent, focused on growth, and kept moving forward. A few years later, the very same people who wronged them said, they were right all along. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you wait long enough, you'll see the bodies of your enemies float by on the river. Time is always fair. You don't have to fight. Just live right." 10. Peace is the highest victory. Many people believe victory means defeating others, but a Stoic knows that true victory is this: no one can control your mind anymore. One of my patients once told me, "I don't want revenge on my ex-husband. I just want to sleep well at night." I smiled and said, "Then you've already won." Peace doesn't come from the outside. It comes when you no longer let the world decide how you feel. When you no longer need to shout, "I'm okay," and instead you genuinely feel okay. That is freedom. That is strength. That is the ultimate victory of Stoic philosophy. These 10 principles aren't a formula for becoming cold or detached. They are an art of living. To be strong yet peaceful. To walk through chaos without losing your calm. To live with depth, grace, and unshakable dignity. Because in the end, you don't need to raise your voice to prove your strength. True power lies in choosing not to react, in choosing silence, and in choosing peace. There's something strange about life. The moment you stop trying to control everything, you begin to realize that you are finally in control of yourself, and that's when you become truly free. The Stoics were never cold or emotionless. They loved deeply. They felt pain. They cried. But they understood one essential truth. Every emotion is temporary, and it's our reaction that defines who we are. You can live in the middle of the storm, still smiling, still choosing calm over conflict, still choosing to let go instead of holding on. That's not weakness. That's the purest form of human strength. I remember once a student asked me, "How do I know when I've truly found peace?" I said, "When someone who once hurt you walks by, and you no longer feel the need to prove anything, that's peace." Peace doesn't arrive in a day or two. It comes slowly, bit by bit, every time you choose silence over anger, forgiveness over revenge, and growth over bitterness. The world out there is loud. Everyone's trying to speak louder, prove more, and appear stronger. But the Stoic understands. True strength doesn't live in volume. It lives in stillness. That stillness is your sanctuary, a place of peace within you that no one can ever touch. Remember this, you can't control who loves you, who leaves, or what people say about you. But you can always control how you respond, and when you master your response, you master your life. Peace doesn't mean the absence of pain. Peace means pain no longer has control over you. It's when you can look back on your past, smile, and say, I learned so much from that. Now I want you to imagine this. It's morning. You wake up, open the window, and take a deep breath. You no longer care what people think of you. You're no longer haunted by what's been lost. All that remains is the quiet peace of your own mind. That, right there, is the greatest victory the Stoics ever spoke of. Not the victory of conquering others, but the victory of conquering yourself. Every day, with every breath, every choice, every moment you choose, calm over chaos. And if you're hearing these words today, I just want you to know you are strong enough to do that. You don't need to become a philosopher. You don't need to read 100 books. You just need to start observing your own mind. When anger rises, breathe. When fear appears, watch it. When the past tries to pull you back, smile and whisper, I'm not there anymore. That is Stoicism in the 21st century. Not rigid, not cold, but awake, compassionate, and profoundly human. If what I've shared resonates with you, leave a comment below. I choose peace, because the moment you can say that from your heart is the moment you begin your journey toward becoming untouchable. And if you're searching for peace in this noisy world, stay with Stoic Awakening more. In the videos ahead, we'll go even deeper into the art of living like a modern Stoic, where you don't need to defeat anyone, you just need to live true to yourself. Thank you for spending this time with Stoic Awakening more. Share this video if you believe someone else might need to hear these words today. And remember, peace isn't a destination, it's the way you walk.